Do you know what time it is? Anybody know what time it is? It's 10 degrees. That's the time. Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Robbie McFarland.
And I'm Lee Barrows.
Oh, yeah. Lee's back today. She
I'll tell you.
Came a slip sliding away.
It was treacherous out there. If you don't have to go out, please don't go out. The roads are nothing but ice.
I had no clue you were coming this morning. So
surprise.
Well, yeah. Well,
that's why I called you. I said, I just got it off Gum Branch.
Mm-hmm.
Gum Branch Road was horrible as long as all the other roads.
Don't do like Lee did this morning. If you're going somewhere, you're going to, whether people know you're coming or not, do a what we call a flight plan. Call and let them know you've left and you'll be there in a certain time. So if you ain't, they can start looking for you.
That's why I called you.
You called when you were already on your way here.
Yeah. Be careful because the ruts have melted and then have refrozen today, and it's black ice.
There is
you don't know that it's you're going to slide off.
Those little things that people were driving through yesterday, they refroze overnight.
Yes,
and they are slick. Imagine yourself if you've ever. I don't know whether anybody's ever bought a big old block of ice from a store or not, like they used to sell them. Those big old chipped up and trying to drive across it. You ever tried to pick up a block of ice like that? One of those 50-pound blocks?
Well, let me
You can't do it. That's how slippery they are.
I did not even put mine in four-wheel drive because it's ice. In four-wheel drive, you want to come out of it.
Yeah.
When it's all ice like that. But there was some crunchy, hard, frozen snow.
If you got four-wheel drive, just drive across the open yards and stuff. People will forgive you.
What?
Don't.
That was a drive-in. That was a drive.
Okay, and in an effort, y'all, to save us and you from the possibility of hospitalization for the dreaded disease, there's a dreaded disease that goes with this stuff, and apparently Lee was suffering from it. It's called cabin fever. Every family needs to drain their hot water heaters today. Do it. Get up now and drain it. You need to drain your hot water heaters. Put a hose on it. That little drain at the bottom.
Are you going to fill it up with wine?
No, you're going to drain it so you can melt the ice and snow to side. If every household drained 30 40 gallons of hot water outside, guess what? That stuff would go away. Wouldn't that be a smart thing to do?
And when it's this cold, the second it gets out there, it's going to freeze. And you'll have an ice skating rink. I dreamed about making an ice skating rink in the front yard.
Did you?
It wasn't a dream.
We have so much. We have so many low places that hold water. If you walk across our grass, it's really wet. And I thought, you could ice skate out there.
Well, I will tell you, I kind of missed the driveway a little bit coming in, but
we got two of them. Just pick one or the other. It doesn't matter.
I aim for between both of them. No, it was just that your road is really bad. Country Club Drive is patches here and there, but when I turned on your road, I was
I know one person that was silly enough to get out there yesterday and it bright and early.
Was that you?
Nope. But it's related to me.
Oh, okay.
Not you. Not you.
Oh, I know. It's Candy.
Yeah, it's Candy.
Well, I don't know that it was Candy, but her car was gone. And I saw the first ruts on the road and I was laughing. I was going, oh, man.
We need to get this mess gone so that so many of you deranged individuals, you wished for it. I know that. I hope you've had your fun.
I wanted it, but I wanted it like start on a Friday night and be gone by Monday morning.
Yeah. If it's gonna snow, and they know it's gonna thaw out at some point, they should just mandate that everybody stay home, like
curfew.
What do you call those things?
A curfew.
Curfews.
We just had another listener say that he just got in from driving to Walmart. It was black ice all over Piney Green, slipping and sliding.
Was Walmart open?
Must be.
It's one of the few places it is. Oh, my goodness gracious. Thank goodness warmer days are ahead. And if y'all got any snow stories, any near misses, almost hits, whatever. People were driving faster than you were coming in this morning, you said.
The
for
usual
one reason or another.
Paint company truck, but
that one. Yeah.
It could be 10 feet of snow and ice and they're still going to speed. But anyway, I did have one pass me. He didn't like the fact that I was going so slow. So he got around me and took off. And I was like,
I may be slow, but I'm ahead of you.
Thing about it is don't be afraid to drive real slow. You may aggravate everybody on the road, but I'm gonna tell you what.
Snow and slow go hand in hand. Okay?
That's right.
So don't get foolish, because we get reports all day long. We see them. Police reports here, citizen report there, all over socialist media about the wrecks here, wrecks there, yada yada yada.
Yeah, and four-wheel drive, as Lee reminded me, does not help you
No, it doesn't.
on ice.
Not
It
the
is,
least bit.
as a matter of fact, it can make it worse.
If you're going across the snow, the snow yesterday, when I walked outside, I did it to get some more firewood and to clear a path for our two little doggies to walk across the porch, because they did not want to leave the house.
That's true.
But when the Jake finally saw, hey, this is the stuff I usually walk on. I got it scraped all the way down to the wood. And by the way, when sun comes out a little bit and there's a little warmth going there, if you want to clear a path, get yourself a big old shovel or something similar, and it's very soft. It moves real easy.
Yes.
It did.
When this crap starts to thaw, and then it freezes again at night, because it's going to freeze every night, tonight again.
Yes.
It's going to become you're not going to chop that away.
Right.
Yeah.
Blowtorch, maybe, a fire, a flamethrower, but and you set the house on fire like that. But while it's soft and you want to clear a path, go ahead. You can do that, because once it starts to melt, there's nothing to stop it.
Yeah,
It's going to be a mess.
When I took shockwave out last night, I noticed, and I'm not sure, but it looks like our neighbors across the street actually shoveled
They probably did.
some, and there was a light dusting that I think it might have blown across, but their driveway will be nice and dry
It will.
as soon as it starts
Yeah,
melting.
get a little melting going on.
Look.
They'll be in shape. I don't need to get out that bad. I do. I'll drive across the yard.
I've lost my Northeast and Midwest snow skills. I should have
We got a
gotten it off of my windshield. I should have
we
done
got a
this,
snow
I should
shovel
have.
out there too if we want to pull it out.
I just am telling myself, well, I'm in the South. It's not going to stay. It's not going to stay that long. I don't have to worry about it.
Look.
You know how much use I get for this snow shovel? A lot. It's for oysters, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a good use.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
actually
Who
have a
cares?
nice snow shovel.
Well, you do oyster shovel.
Yes.
Oyster
Nice.
shovel.
What I call it.
Oh, nice.
Okay, some that bad stuff, and this is a weird story, and it's getting weirder by the hour.
Oh, Lord.
Tuesday afternoon up there in Raleigh,
Yes.
a Raleigh police officer is recovering. He's still not out of the woods, but he's going to come around. Hopefully, he'll be fine. But it's going to take some time. He got shot Tuesday afternoon. Two other men. This is getting more complex. Two other men were shot and killed.
Yeah. Well, when it first came, I first read it. The woman whose husband is a police officer up there, she said multiple officers shot. That's what I referred.
No,
That's what I passed
nope.
to you. And then it came back. It was just one officer, but there's other people
Okay.
that were involved.
Let me go through this timeline for you. Just before 6 o'clock on Tuesday, a woman called police, reported a man she had previously been in a relationship with had broken into her apartment, wasn't supposed to be there. Police arrived, and during an exchange of gunfire, the officer was seriously wounded. Two men were shot and killed. I don't know who did the shooting. A man listed as a victim was 73-year-old John Rowe. He's dead. The second man, 70-year-old Antonio Rodriguez, listed as the suspect in this case. He's also dead, shot and killed. The female resident who called police is Jill Roner. Her age, not given. Did you get the other two gentlemen, 70 and 73?
Yes.
We know better when you get to be that age, but sometimes your brain just goes away. When the confrontation started and shots rang out, she ran, no shoes, through the snow, small amount in Raleigh at the time, to another apartment where she was taken in by the residents. They were reluctant at first, but, they saw her with no shoes on, and then they heard gunfire. So come on in, let's hide. And that's what they did.
Yes.
Had a restraining order against him with multiple convictions for stalking and harassing Roner. Okay, that was the ex-boyfriend. The latest conviction came in just last year, which resulted in probation with stipulations that Rodriguez had to stay at least 300 yards away from Roner. Let me explain something. Court orders, restraining orders, they do not stop bullets.
No.
I don't care what size paper they're written on. It doesn't stop bullets. Rowe was a retired family doctor. He's graduated from Yale. Roner said Roe leaves behind kids and grandkids in Durham. Nothing mentioned about a wife. This is where the story gets really weird. You thought that was bad enough? Yesterday, police are armed with a search warrant returned to the scene. The bomb squad team searched Rodriguez's car. Investigators found suspicious items inside the car after inspecting it with a robot. Police said other items found inside the car were not a threat. Well, they aren't telling us what the items that are a threat are. The investigation is ongoing. He had something in that car that was posed a threat, so much of a threat they called the bomb squad.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Okay. Now that story's getting really, really weird. So I don't know. Hopefully the officer will be okay. I know he's got some issues going on. Getting shot and in critical condition and fighting for his life there for a bit.
Right.
It was ugly. It was ugly, and don't name or age on the guy, so I'm sure that will be coming out shortly.
I was just looking. I heard on the news as I was in the truck about some police officers in San Francisco involved in a shooting.
Haven't seen that.
I've been looking right here, searching both my phone and here. I haven't seen any, but Fox had just come out with it this morning. So,
And we'll double check it here shortly.
yes, I'm looking for that.
Down there, a little bit further south, down in L.A. County,
Oh,
yesterday, another
gosh.
fire. Another fire.
I watched that for a
Y'all,
while.
we got all this snow around here, and if we could get it all intact to Los Angeles County, it would melt, no problem, and they could put it on the fires.
Mm-hmm.
We have enough right in our front yard to put out most of them, I
Yes.
think. So
Well, that was in what, Callista, California? Callista,
I don't know. They're calling
northern
it,
LA.
Yeah, they're Castaic or something like that.
Yes.
They're calling it the Hughes fire. Where do they come up with these
The
things?
Hughes,
I have
yes.
not a clue.
It has
Tens
to
of-
do with the valleys and
Tens
the
of
mountains
thousands
and the-
of California residents are impacted by the latest evacuation orders. Wonderful. Last night, as of 11 o'clock local time, that's California time, 2 o'clock our time, the fire was 14% contained. How they come up with those numbers, I don't know. 14% or 15%, which is it? 14%, I'll argue about it, I'm sure. Had burned over 10,000 acres at that time. No structures, they said, had been damaged or destroyed. Not as of their time, 11 o'clock last night. 4,000 fire personnel are assigned to this fire alone. The weather, they say, is what is predominantly driving the fire and
The wind.
and spreading it around. Yeah, the winds have kicked up. They predicted the winds were going to come up again on Wednesday or Thursday this week, so they did.
I was watching it last night, and the winds were average 30 to 42 miles per hour in that area. And what's strange is where this broke out is 30 miles from the nearest other fires that were already burning.
Yeah.
And it was, last I was watching it, it was threatening some big water towers. And I'm like, can't we just pull the plug on the water towers
Why not?
and let the water out? But there was 3 huge Air Force planes out there dropping water on
Air
it.
Force is doing it?
Air Force.
I know Coast Guard's been out there too, and the
Yes.
Coast Guard had said, we fly low with our helicopters,
Yes.
of course, and with all the other aircraft in the area, they're flying through smoke.
These were actually Air Force because
Yeah.
they showed them. And of course, they had helicopters and others out there. But I know
Mhm.
that they're calling in troops and National Guard and sending to help. So
Mhm. I think
it's
there were
just
some
it was
Marines
crazy.
from Camp Pendleton there too, if I'm
Probably
not
so,
mistaken.
probably
as I recall
I
reading.
just remembered they said military. The channel that I watch, he gets a lot of the live stuff and he,
Yeah, some of those channels in other parts of the world who
Right.
don't know any better, they refer to Marines as soldiers too.
yeah, no, there's a huge difference, and it's not showing anything. So your caller ID's cold; it won't work.
Yeah, caller ID's kind of messed up this morning. Good morning, you're live and local.
Oh, caller ID. Okay, we'll do it
Hey,
this way.
Chris.
You recognize this voice. Good morning, you two.
I
How you
do.
doing?
Good
Good morning.
Chris Marks on the line with us from sunny
Um,
eastern North Carolina. Sunny, well, it's not yet. Snow.
Well, not yet. Hopefully it will be. But good morning, and Lee, congratulations for making it in. Miss Robbie, I know she's just sitting down. She did a great job yesterday.
Thank you.
Filling in, Miss Robbie, great job yesterday.
I know how to pick them, don't I?
Filling in.
She's good at everything
Yeah,
she
you-
does.
You know how to hang out with the nice, lovely ladies.
It's about
Rick,
time
I give
somebody
you
gave
that.
me
She
credit for
teaches
this.
me.
She teaches you how to put up with me is what she's trying to do.
Oh, okay. Well, she does a good job of that, and your pot of soup looked good again. The other
Yeah,
day.
we didn't do any more soup last night. What did I do last night? I forgot. My
Oh, I
God,
had
such
the
a long
best
time
I'm sure it
ago.
was
Oh, we
warm
had
again.
rice and vegetables
yeah.
and shrimp.
I had
Kind
the-
of a stir fry.
I sauteed some zucchini with some peppers and some onions.
Ooh,
And then I
Oh,
sauteed
I
some
love
shrimp separately,
Mm,
just slightly in my new frying pan. And then I cooked a pot of rice,
Mhm.
Sounds
and
good.
mixed all that crap together, and it was good.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
it sounds like it. Okay. You
Rayford
open
had
up the
soy
restaurant
sauce on
the
his.
side.
Rayford had soy sauce. I had fish sauce.
Yeah. So I put a little soy sauce on mine at the end, and oh my goodness, just sit down there, and I don't care then. Y'all just have all the snow you want. I know what I'm doing. I'm eating.
Yeah. A little teriyaki sauce would have made me happy, but yeah, that don't
Yeah,
sound
whatever
good.
your choice is.
Okay, Lee, I got a quick question for you. 'Cause I actually have to go on the roads to serve a funeral this
Oh, boy.
morning. How's Gum Branch?
A sheet of ice.
Yeah.
A sheet of ice.
A
right?
sheet
Okay,
of
I'll do
ice. It
I'll do
was.
258.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if 258 is going to be any better, but I think once the sun comes up, that'll help a little bit on Gum Branch because you can't really
Yeah.
see anything.
What
Yeah.
time do you have to be wherever you're going?
Well, in black ice, you can't see anything.
About 8 o'clock. I got to open up
Oh.
and I get things ready.
Oh my! How far you got to
You
go?
better leave
So-
now. He lives out
Oh,
there at 258.
just downtown 10th and Park Church on 17th.
Okay. Well,
so-
you should.
Are they still going to have the funeral today?
Yeah, the last word I heard last night was yes, we are. So I have my calling to do, and I will be on the altar serving it. So
The hole's
okay.
already dug.
Guess.
Yeah.
Hope the best for you, sir.
It was
But,
bad.
be
That was
careful
bad.
well,
out there.
thank you.
Just
I
and if
will,
you're
but,
late, if you're late, they'll have to forgive you.
I hope so. Want to let everybody know. So an update on Wreaths Across America, Wreaths honoring our fallen veterans. To my favorite media outlet. Beginning February 1st, there's going to be a new program. So between now, February 1st, you still get the 3 for 2. So you get 3 wreaths for $34.
Right.
What happens going forward is a $5 pay forward. And in the simplest form, if you buy 2 wreaths, then they'll take $5 and move it forward to another wreath.
Oh, okay.
So, the biggest opportunity has already passed on that ended on the 17th of January. This is a good program, though. The next
like
one
it.
going forward.
No problem.
So
Every little bit helps.
So if you buy if you buy what is it, 2 wreaths, $5 goes forward, right?
correct.
You pay $34,
Correct.
another
Back.
$5 is banked to go move to the next, and then when enough people get enough to add 2 more wreaths, then which would be about seven sales, then another set of wreaths is added, and then you get $5 off that
Yes.
set of wreaths, I hope, and then that moves forward, and then this thing could bank up pretty well.
It is going to be. My goal is to have it done by the summertime, but we'll keep plugging along. Thanks to you folks and those people whose names are on our thank you page, and going some corporate letters. We're going to hit businesses again. Mid-year, maybe mid-year, they'll open up their checkbooks. But just wanted to throw that out first on your show because a lot of people listen. We're going to get more listeners, and we're going to get more reads. And you folks over there are absolute wonderful examples of community-minded people.
Well, we're all in the same boat together, so we know what the situation is. Okay.
That's right.
And one more thing, Rayford, because of your trust in me, some other people actually gave me their credit cards and said, use my credit card. We trust you, and then it is deleted. It is gone. I couldn't tell you what one of your numbers is right now.
I would just say, take a wild guess and say one of them is going to be 3, or maybe not.
You know, you have a zero. Everyone has a zero in theirs. So.
No, that's the zero balance. That's what I got. Zero balance.
Exactly.
You ain't gonna spend no more, Bubba. So that's what my zero is all about. Okay, well that's good. And Chris, we do appreciate what you're doing.
Hey, Chris, when you get
I know you did it.
when you get to the
It's our
church,
group.
Chris, when you get to the church, will you call us and let us know how the roads were?
And
Yes,
Where you
I
were?
will.
and
Okay.
let us know that you're there.
Yes, please.
I will. I'm going to try both roads and see which one looks better. I've looked at NC NorthCarolina.gov, I think it is.
Yes.
They'll be a day late.
And it gives you gives you updates, very good updates.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Not like you get when someone that has ridden the road.
That's right.
And you can
So,
always call our local law enforcement agencies, call them on their non-emergency lines and ask them if they have any road closures or tell them where you're coming from.
Either that or turn that scanner on that I just
Yes.
found out yesterday you have.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that. We're working on that one too, Rayford. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, I
You and I
saw
got that crazy.
they had road closures on some of the TV
Yes.
stations pages.
Yeah, you can also call 511. That's throughout North Carolina, and for road conditions, I'll post all of that on our page right now. But yeah, and then we
Good idea.
posted through the day yesterday, different closures and stuff, and the bypass starting from Highway 24 over there across from like Sanders Ford on 24, that area
Yep.
right there
Mhm.
by the Beirut Memorial, that is still closed.
Okay.
So
Can't get on the bypass.
can't get on the
You don't want to
bypass.
go across that big old bridge anyway.
You don't want to be on the bypass.
Last time we had snow like this, one man died up there.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And kudos to the Jacksonville Police Department. They put a video out yesterday.
Oh,
And
they
they
did.
Yeah, I
English
shared it on our
and
page.
Spanish.
That was
Did
cool.
y'all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Nice.
That was
I missed it. The
Oh.
one that was standing on his nose.
No. There's
Is that
the two
right?
guys two police officers.
And one of our police officer, Guzman, that comes in here a lot with Sergeant Smith, he was translating everything into Spanish
Yep.
also. So it was,
I didn't understand that either.
you, Hola, between the sheriff's office, the county, and the public safety office, they have done a great
They have.
great
They
job
have.
of keeping everyone informed.
Locally, if you want to pay attention to the websites, Facebook page, and if you pay attention to ours, Lee's going to post everything that's updated on
Yes.
any other site. We got a central clearing agency. Let's just put it that way. Hey, Chris, it is now 7:23, and you need to be on the road.
Chris, you
all
got
right,
to
my
late.
friends.
Okay.
Have a blessed day.
You
We'll
too.
talk
Call us or
later.
page us or
Be
do
safe.
something. when
Yeah,
you
be
get there.
safe.
Okay.
Or
I will
text me
do.
if you
Y'all
have
have a
to.
blessed day.
All right.
Okay.
This is your big brother
Bye-bye.
talking. All right, let's do a little bit of weather offshore today. Don't.
Weather.
That's enough of that. Still breezy. Northerly winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas 3 to 5 feet. Set 2 to 3 near shore. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop tomorrow. Northerly winds 10 to 15. Seas 3 to 4. Coming down 2 to 3 near shore. Yeah. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. Saturday, northerly winds 10 to 15, becoming northwesterly 5 to 10 in the afternoon, 2 to 4 foot seas, sounds and rivers, only a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon. Now, for the deal here, the real deal. This water is cold.
Mm-hmm.
The air is cold. It's not going to get any warmer. Not for a while. Not till at least Saturday. That water may look a little calm. Oh, I've been out in water like that, a lot rougher than that, a lot of times. Two things. Take somebody with you. If you're wearing hip boots or waders, take them off. wear something else. If you fall overboard, several things are going to happen. If you're wearing waders or big old hip boots like a lot of people love to wear, they're going to fill up with water. Water filled up with water is going to drag you down. I don't care if you're Mark Spitz, you're not going to be able to, they don't know who he is, do they? You won't be able to swim with it. You're done. Just say goodbye.
Yeah.
Leave those waders in the boat. Do not wear them over on the water. All right. 2, wear a freaking life jacket. If you got one that inflates automatically, that's great, just in case you hit your head on the way into the water when you fall over while you're paying a call to nature, standing on the bow of the boat like so many men do.
I
And
sure hope you have at least one fish in the boat. Go
and they
ahead.
fall overboard. That happens.
Yes.
If you're not wearing a life jacket, you've got just a matter of moments, and you better hope you got somebody on the boat that can drag your cold, wet butt
Yeah.
into the boat.
Hypothermia.
Yes.
No,
system.
hypothermia is not going to kill you. Not in the water. When you fall in that water, you will start losing mobility. Your arms, your legs will freeze up. You will not be able to tread water or stay afloat. You're going to die from drowning. Okay, that's a fact. It happens on a regular basis. Been to too many of them. Cold water makes you immobile. It doesn't kill you. You get on the back in the boat. If you don't get dried off and get warmed up, hypothermia can kill you. But that's after you get back in the boat. First step is to stop the drowning. That's my nickel's worth, for at least a quarter's worth this morning.
If you wear a
Stay alive.
wetsuit, would
It
it
will
help you?
help you.
Yeah.
It will help you stay afloat because those things are very buoyant.
Yeah.
It will, but they're not very mobile when you're out there in the boat trying to fish. But I would take that over doing nothing.
Best advice is stay home. Are we ready for today's?
Yes, let's do today's.
Okay, partly sunny with a high near 32, north wind 5 to 8 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low around 14. Friday, partly sunny with a high near 39. Friday night, mostly clear with a low of 16. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 44.
From Camp Lejeune, the Triangle Outpost Gate, aboard Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, closed through today. Piney Green Gate, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, closed through today. The Douglas Gate at Marine Corps Air Station New River, closed through today. The Sneads Ferry Bridge, that's the one that runs from the mainland over to the other mainland
Right.
across New River.
Yes.
It can close at any time. That depends upon what the North Carolina Department of Transportation does. All bridges in the area are subject to be closed based upon what the conditions are at any given time. The Onslow Beach Bridge, same thing, subject to closure at any
Right.
time. Those are the ones aboard Camp Lejeune. You can go to the Camp Lejeune facilities and get a bit more information if you like. Let's see.
All
what else?
Onslow County government offices
Yes.
and facilities will be closed today
Yep.
due to the weather. Emergency services will function as usual. At this time, regular operations are expected to resume on Friday, January 24th, including the solid waste landfill and convenience sites.
Mhm.
And travelers at Albert J. Ellis Airport are still urged
Oh, yeah.
to check to see if your flight will be going out. And Onslow County schools are closed today and tomorrow and will reopen Monday.
Unless we get more ice over the weekend. That's none predicted.
Slap your hand off that keyboard.
I'm close enough. Should
well.
I just put my hand over his mouth?
I remember.
I could unplug his microphone.
Are you crazy?
Okay. Yeah. If I had more teeth, I could bite, but got to see my dentist again. There are two major groups of Americans running around the country today. Those are those that are pleased with the direction that our president is taking, and those that are emptying the pharmacy stockpiles of Valium and Prozac. Donald Trump needs to take advantage of the honeymoon period. As it is with honeymoons, you guys need to pay attention to that. As it is with all honeymoons, you can live off love for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Why only 3?
You can live off love for 3 days. After that, you're going to need some bacon and eggs to keep folks happy. Okay, you're going to have some sustenance. It's easy to tell people what they want to hear, relatively easy to issue orders and mandates. All's well as long as your wishes and orders are carried out, and those orders are okay. The new president should remember 2017, his first go round.
Yes.
He had lots of big ideas, but he did not count on the opposition folks launching every missile they could find to stop him. As it is now, Trump had a majority of the House and Senate behind him, but he failed to cash in on that majority. And within 2 years, he was the only Republican left standing. And it mattered not what he wanted, his efforts were torpedoed. From his first 3 days in office this go round, it appears he learned his lesson. He's moving forward at breakneck speed.
Yes.
But he's going to be met, already is, with some opposition. This time, I predict, from Democrat leaders, governors around the country, because he's got the House and the Senate. These governors, Democrat governors, are going to team up with Democrat state attorney generals to throw up roadblocks. If Trump and his henchmen did their homework over the past 4 years, and I think they may have, they already have plans in place in anticipation for the efforts that are out there that the people are launching right now to stop him in his tracks. Personally, don't blame me, I'm the messenger, but I don't agree with some of the plans he has in mind. I already discussed, and I don't need to deal with it, pardoning 1,500 people who have been arrested, some of which have been indicted and have been tried or were headed for trials. These are individuals that were engaged in what investigators have determined were illegal activities at this nation's capital on January 6th. Let me go back and make you understand that. This is what the investigators who were given the information have determined, that their activities were illegal. Okay, some were, some may not have been. Let the courts decide their guilt or innocence first. When you're accused, you should be tried before a group of your peers, right? If after that time the president does a deep dive into those who are convicted, if they are, and feels that an injustice has occurred, then he has the option of pardoning whoever he wants. It ain't up to you. It ain't up to me. But to take that power away from the judicial system first is a slap in the face for every cop out there and the courts who are sworn to uphold and protect this country. Okay, off of that one. Another issue. Y'all didn't even have time to react, did you?
I'm just trying to take a breath.
If you do want to call, you can do so.
Right.
I'll pause for the calls and let you get your 2 cents worth in. 910-333-0139. Another issue, though, and I need to reread and get some help in interpreting the laws before I take a definite direction of what I want here. It's called birthright citizenship.
Right.
I'm going to explain some stuff because I did some reading. One of Trump's orders will restrict what has been the constitutional practice of giving any child born on U.S. soil U.S. citizenship, regardless of whether that child's parent or parents are legal immigrants. Don't call yet. His order is being challenged by a host of folks who oppose his move on constitutional grounds. Our founding fathers saw into the future on most everything they ever did. They didn't do this willy-nilly. Much of their ideas were based on the way things were at the time in this country, looking back to safeguard Americans from the oppression from the countries they left for a better life. That was their goals. As the immigration policies 250 years ago were nothing like the requirements we have today, our founding fathers did not give a lot of thought to the issue that we face today. They didn't think about illegal immigration. They didn't think about illegal aliens coming across the borders. It was okay. They were illegal aliens by that definition because they all came from somewhere else and did not get, a passport even to get here. To even have any hope of handling this matter today, the only thing that I can see is that we could restrict or prohibit anyone from coming to this country for the explicit purpose of having a baby so they, the illegal immigrants, could stay in the U.S. In other words, if you did it, I think a way that most people would understand it, if it looked like the only reason that you were going to come to this country and do it illegally was to have a baby so that, my baby is a citizen and I can stay with my baby in this country, that's a scam.
Like marriage.
That's absolutely, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And immigration people and I've been through one of those with a friend of mine who was marrying an alien from a person from another country. And he had to jump through hoops like you would not believe. He had to answer questions. She had to answer questions separate. They were not even in the same room at the
Goodness.
time. They were testing them every way in the world. In other words, if the parents come into the U.S. illegally, their babies born here would not be citizens under those conditions. Let me give you a for instance. If a married couple, both U.S. citizens, one or the other is in the military, and they are on a 3-year stint in Germany, because that used to be one of the places people go, and they took their spouses with them to live, right, for 3 years. And either one of them, the female, gets pregnant. That baby that is born in Germany is not of German descent. It's not going to be a German citizen. It's going to be a U.S. citizen. It's not going to have dual citizenship unless there's one or the other has a citizenship from another country as well.
Right.
If migrants are here on work visas, if they're here as students with a visa, and they have a baby while they're here, the child could have perhaps dual citizenship. I don't know. It's complicated. They're here legally. They are here legally with legal due process, right?
Right.
They got a visa. If they come here and they're visiting on a passport and they're just coming in to stay and passing through, and suddenly mama has a baby, that child is not a U.S. citizen. It's accepted that if a pregnant woman is vacationed in the U.S. and has a baby, maybe a little earlier than they thought, the child does not automatically gain citizenship status. Pretty much the same way it works if the citizen, as like I said, is a dependent military wife, has a baby while they're deployed, not going to be a citizen of that other country, will be a U.S. citizen. Now, there's two things here that have been used for interpretation. This is where things get hinky. The restricted interpretation of the amendment, 14th Amendment, states that anyone born within the state's territory is a citizen at birth. Restrictions apply based on parents' citizenship or immigration status. Let's do that one again.
Yeah.
Anyone born within the state's territory is considered a citizen at birth, but under the restricted interpretation, that only applies on parents if the parent is not here illegally.
That doesn't even make sense.
If the person is here illegally,
No, I understand what you're saying, but
there are two interpretations. There the unrestricted interpretation and the one that I just read. The restricted interpretation would be, there are two sentences to this. Anyone born within the state's territory is a citizen at birth. However, restrictions apply to that based on the parent's citizenship or immigration status. If they are from another country and they're citizens from another country, that's a restricted situation, and those citizenship restrictions would apply based upon the parent's citizenship or the immigration status. If they're here as a legal person, legal migrant, I don't know what that means. If they're here as an illegal immigrant, I know what that means. That restriction would apply, and they would not be citizens. The baby would not be a citizen.
Well, the way it's interpreted right now, if two illegals came into the country and they had the baby, technically the baby would be a U.S. citizen, but the parents aren't. So
Where the parents can stay.
wouldn't they have to apply for the rights to stay in the United States
Not citizen.
What?
Their baby is a legal citizen,
But
they're not.
and they're the guardians.
that's what I'm getting at. You can't make the parents leave and keep the baby.
Nope. That's what they're basing everything on. Now.
Right.
Now that's kind of like the unrestricted interpretation. The unrestricted interpretation that folks are using: anyone born within the state's territory is a citizen at birth, regardless of the parent's citizenship or immigration status.
Steve.
That's the way they're interpreting it. Confused? I am.
It's one that's going to end up going to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they're going
Well,
to say,
we've already got attorney generals. We got ours here. The brand new child attorney general in North Carolina is jumping on board with other Democrat attorney generals across the U.S., and they are going to file suit.
North Carolina is one of them that's filing suit.
Yep, they're filing suit. Okay, we got a call. Good morning. You're live and local.
Good morning.
How are you?
Steve.
I'm doing pretty good. Staying warm. Hope you are too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ready for the Supreme Court?
No, I ain't ready for no court, man. I ain't even ready for the basketball court.
I'm not here.
Yeah. I tell you, I noticed some irony this morning. I don't know if it's dawned on y'all yet, but the argument that you're presenting about the birthright citizenship and how our founding fathers couldn't, 200 years ago, didn't know what we would be facing today.
Uh-huh.
Am I accurate? Am I accurate in that?
To a certain extent, and I think I know where you're going. They did not know, they did not have any interpretations about what immigration was, because anybody could come into these United States at the time. So that is,
Right.
that's ironic if you want to put it that way.
Well, I was going to say the irony is, in what I see in the middle is that's the same exact argument that liberals make when they're trying to talk about the Second Amendment and banning the AR-15s. What I see is that people try to reinterpret and manipulate the Constitution to suit their needs and their narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And when it doesn't, when it doesn't suit them.
Have you pulled up the Second Amendment? Do you have it handy?
Let me see what
I'm sorry. The
Do you
Second
have the
Amendment.
Second Amendment?
That's what the liberals say.
I understand, but
That's what they say is that the family.
do you have it in front of you? Do you know what it says?
I don't have it right in front of me, so I couldn't read it verbatim, but I have a basic understanding of what it says. I have read it before.
Uh-huh.
I've got it right here too.
Okay, let's just read it first.
Okay, the Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
One sentence. No if,
Okay.
ands, or buts. And the Supreme Court has pretty well decided that there's no interpretation needed. Pretty much every case has challenged the Second Amendment. Now, the immigration birthright, you've already had people that interpreted it, and it has gone through courts, and there is this unrestricted and the restricted interpretations that's got them boggled down.
Well, maybe it's not the interpretation or not. It's the things surrounding it. Like when you say a child is a U.S. citizen, then you have the issue of, well, what do you do with the parents? That's a different thing than whether or not the child is a U.S. citizen.
Okay, 100 plus years after this this whole mess started, right? 1898. The 1898 Supreme Court case of United States versus Wong Kim Ark. I didn't make that up. Established an important precedent in its interpretation of the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment, and that it cemented birthright citizenship for children of all immigrants. For over a century, anyone born on U.S. soil has automatically been conferred citizenship at birth, regardless of their parents' immigration or citizenship status. This is an interpretation of what that Supreme Court ruling said, okay? Anti-immigrant political factions have pushed to birthright citizenship, primarily attempting to deny it to children born in the United States to undocumented immigrant parents. That is the big beef today. It's as simple as that. One sentence. Do people who are in the country illegally, can they stay here and with their child who's born to illegal immigrants? Can that child become a citizen or be labeled as a citizen and have all the rights of a citizen of the United States, regardless of the status of their parents? That's what's at stake. I'm not taking a position. I'm pointing out the arguments.
I understand the question that's being posed, but and this, of course, this is my opinion. But we have a mechanism for changing the Constitution, and it's a challenge to do it. But we did it that way, so no one person, i.e., a president, could come in and just write an executive order circumventing that.
A political party.
And I know, and they are a political party. And
That's right.
I know I'm not trying to point out any one party or any one person. I know this is a challenge that we face with all administrations. But that's kind of what I guess rubs me the wrong way about it is the Constitution is the Constitution. You can read it.
Exactly.
They didn't make it hard to understand.
Yeah.
When they wrote it, they tried to write it in a way that was clear and precise.
Mhm.
And we try to complicate that when it don't suit our narrative.
Here's the problem that they're having, the legal scholars are having right now with this thing. At the time, even in 1898, was there anything known as illegal immigrants? Could people pretty much come and go as they pleased in this country? They could up until a certain point. Up until a certain point. Look at who built the railroad.
They could. I think citizenship was a little different then.
Yeah,
I'm just
who
not sure
built?
on that.
Yeah, but I mean, if they were not illegals and they had a baby born in the United States, if they were not here illegally, and they had a baby born in this country, then there was no big issue, right? Their parents might not ever become citizens, but they're not illegal immigrants. They are immigrants. There's a difference between an immigrant and an illegal immigrant.
Well, there weren't illegal immigrants
That's what I'm
at that
saying.
point.
That's exactly what I'm
Right.
saying.
And it
Back then,
wasn't-
They weren't really.
I don't think
nobody
it was-
illegal because there was no.
There was
Yeah.
nothing to
Right.
be illegal about.
Right. Until
You just came
people
here, it was you show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
until people started getting concerned about nationalism and people started being concerned about who was settling in which area and they didn't want people from other areas settling.
That's part of it.
That's when immigration
You did
became.
not want to have Russian communities. They weren't so concerned about it at the time. You didn't want to have certain elements settling into this country altogether, like terrorists. They didn't have terrorists in those days, but not by that name. But you did want to have these conglomerations of individuals that could pose a threat in the eyes of Americans, a threat to this country. They didn't
No.
want to have them settling in pods.
It was a threat to their way of life
Well, that too.
because people had different views and opinions.
Mhm.
Was the mass immigration we had that around World War II? That kind of happened. That's how we got Chinatown and Little Italy and
Well, we
all
had
those places like that, right?
Yeah, that was part of it. But we had it way before then. We had like the potato famine and Ireland. We had a whole bunch of Irish who moved here at that time because they were looking.
The potato
But
feather?
I mean, that kind of happened, and the Dutch settled in a certain area, and
What did you say?
I mean, yeah.
There was a great potato famine in
Anyway.
Ireland. Remember? I don't remember,
Yeah.
but I remember
Anyway,
reading about it.
I guess my point was that both sides try to twist the Constitution.
Absolutely.
When they don't suit their narrative.
Yeah.
And I think this one's pretty clear, and it's been the law of the land for 200 years, and I wouldn't want to see that change no more than I'd want to see the Second Amendment changed or any amendment changed by one
Exactly.
person.
Yeah. That's where I am. But I want to know exactly from legal scholars, not from me, probably not from you. You probably don't have any more
No, right.
legal scholarship than I have.
consider myself an expert by no means.
But anyway, I really want some people, a group of individuals who have minds, who can read and interpret. And some of that should include historians, not just the legal eagles out there. Some of it should include historians. Exactly what was the intent at that time?
Well,
And then why did
it may be the intent of that time, but we're not in that
I
time.
understand that, but the
Well,
intent of that time as it's modified and progressed to today, okay, because things will change. We didn't have, we got laws and books against speeding. Did we have any in 1777, 1789? When did we get laws against speeding? There actually were with horse and buggies in towns,
Mm-hmm.
but that was up to the local marshal to interpret.
I would argue that the issue here, again, is not the interpretation, because it should be, this is what this says, this is what we do. It's not about interpretation. It's about how we manage the consequences of what we do.
Now,
That's different.
as everybody who deals with me in these kinds of situations, discussions will tell you that there's a big old word that shows up here. And I've added two words here. There's the two-word thing. What if?
Oh,
Our
I detest
founding
those
fathers
words.
did not have a what if.
Yeah, that's
Right.
that's the
Situation involved.
consequences.
We've added what ifs to everything that we do. What if this guy, because we didn't have military folks being deployed into other countries in 1800. would carry their spouses with them who were pregnant, who had babies while they were there. That did occur. People visited because, it took you, 2 months to get across the ocean. You could be born in the middle of the ocean. What country are you from? You can today. What country are you from? It's going to be dependent upon your parents' citizenship.
Okay. What happens in the
I got
other
a question.
country
Yes.
with
Sorry, go ahead.
military if they are aboard base when that baby's born, or if they're in an embassy
Yep.
when that baby's born?
Makes it, if they're born in that country and they're there legally, I mean, they could be on vacation, on a holiday in the country, traveling from one city to another. We know a couple that used to do that. Bill and Jane. But they would travel all over from country to country. They were assigned, they were stationed in England there for 3, 4, 5 years or something.
Yeah. But what I'm saying,
But if the baby is
I was gonna
born,
say the same thing I was getting ready to say.
If the
I think
baby
Robbie
is-
was getting ready to say the same thing I was going to say.
if the baby
I'd like
is-
to let her finish.
if the baby is born there, the baby is declared, according to all the rules that I've seen here, is a citizen of whatever country the parents are from.
I'd like to let Robbie finish what
Yes,
she was saying,
go
because I
ahead,
think she
go
was going to say the same thing I was saying.
but my point here,
What if?
Go ahead.
no, it's that
Stop the
we
wording.
have bases and embassies that are essentially American territory.
Yes.
So if a child of a military person is born on the base or on that thing, they are still considered
Yes.
Americans because they're on American soil, so
Absolutely.
to speak. So we're not talking
Thank you.
about
That's what I was
people
gonna say.
wandering around in the desert having a baby for
Well,
the most part.
Yeah, but we do have situations where people are on vacation, not living in a country, living aboard a base somewhere. And even those who are living aboard a base of what, 5,000 people that live aboard the base, they may not live aboard the base. They may live outside the base. They may go to the civilian hospital. There may not be a base hospital.
Yep.
But they have a baby. That baby, according to the rules and everything that I read, that baby is born as a citizen of whatever country the parents are from.
Well,
They
that
can
may be
fulfill
true.
dual citizenship, but they can
Sometimes-
still also have
sometimes
their
that
American
happens.
citizenship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And again, your what if and-
that.
No. That part with under the military stuff is a fact.
Yeah.
So
But she's correct. That's what I was going to say as well, is that bases and embassies are still U.S. soil.
correct.
So technically they're not in a different country if they're at the.
That's kind of how Obama is really a citizen of the United States. He was not born necessarily in the continental United States. We don't know. I don't know where he was born,
Mhm.
but he ended up with
Doesn't matter.
it does not matter.
Well, I was going to say the bottom line here is what's the big deal? I mean, in some countries, it's probably a big deal.
Well, from what I can understand, what Trump is trying to do, I don't think is going to fly.
No, it's not.
It's not gonna
not
fly.
as it is written.
It'll end up going to the U.S. Supreme Court. It's all going to be thrown out. I
Yeah.
think he's a little overzealous there, as in some of the other things that he's talking about.
But I want
doing.
to see the whole thing in writing. I have not
Yes.
seen the whole thing, and I don't know whether there's
Right.
any explanation there that I don't know about yet. It'll take me a
Right.
year to read all this stuff. You know that, right?
There's a lot to read. I mean, he signed how
I
many
can't-
orders
over
within the
200.
first
I
day?
can't read a full one every day and then look at all this and then investigate all of the sources.
Right.
Well, some of these things
Yeah.
have to be knee jerk. They have to be trying to fix the problem that he sees now
Right.
and not looking at the bigger picture
right.
of what the consequences will be.
Which might be the case, but his knee jerks have been in the works for 4 years.
Well,
I don't know whether he studied all the consequences of what his
Right.
Yeah.
what his desires are or not.
well, I
you
know.
know-
It's just a laundry list. He just went through and went, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a
Now-
problem. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to
Now,
do.
here is the only time that I can think of that a what if should be applied. Everybody who writes up and Trump and his band of renowned individuals, when they write up an executive order, I don't
That's
care
what I was
whether
gonna
it's
say.
Trump or anybody else,
Uh-huh.
there needs to be somebody that sits back, some nerd sitting in the back of the room. Me. What if?
Not a you.
Yeah. What if this were the case? I mean, look at all the possibilities.
Yeah.
Examine every potential anything that I could see now or in the future, if I could look into the future, give me a crystal ball.
Well, it's like a lot of bills that are proposed and is sent to Senate and Congress. You know, you get them in there with a certain intent, knowing you're going to have to fine tune, and it ends up going to committee after committee, be rewritten. It might go to the Senate, get voted on, but it's been rewritten there, and it goes back. And so it's just like Robbie said. Basically, he probably just threw something on the paper. Let's go ahead and get something started on this. I mean, it's just like I said, some of the executive orders, and I have not read them all. Lord, I'm like you, Rayford. It'll take me a year. Some of them sound kind of.
I think that because there are two there. What
That's
I read
right.
to you guys, the restricted interpretation, the unrestricted
That's right.
interpretation. The unrestricted interpretation is what the liberals do like to see. Anybody that comes into this country legally or illegally, crook or not crook, not a drug dealer or not.
Right.
If they have a baby while they're in this
Gang
country,
member.
that baby is a U.S. citizen.
That's
and then
right.
I can stay in the country with my baby.
And I believe that that's what should happen. And if you want to
Well,
legislate it otherwise, then you create a law
Mhm.
which can be changed as the history changes and as the situations change.
Yeah.
Change the laws. You don't change
Here's the problem with the law, which if any legislature, state or federal, if they adopt a law, here's the law. No band member, no member who sings for a living can be on the streets past 9 o'clock at night. Other citizens can, but no, if you play a guitar and you sing on your own, we have a law at Swansboro. You got to be off our streets by 9 o'clock.
Well,
That's
what do
a
you
law.
think an interpretation does?
And that is going to be challenged. So don't come out with a bunch of laws that are going to be subject to challenge immediately, because all you're doing is wasting my money.
Well, if you've got interpretations and you've got people arguing about it, you got the same thing.
You understand what I'm saying, Steve?
It is not fluid.
Head it
I
off in
don't
the
understand
beginning.
what you said.
Head it off in the beginning, and he didn't.
Wrong.
All right, what I'd like to say is,
What is?
when our founding fathers wrote the Constitution,
They were
do
drunk.
you think that they wrote it in a way that made it ambiguous or whatever, that it was going to have to be interpreted and scrutinized, and we were going to have to what if all up and down one side or the
No,
other?
they did
Or
not.
did they write it in plain English and say that only a person trying to make this complicated could see it as complicated?
Well, at the time, given
I think
the
it's the latter. I think they wrote it in plain English
they
so that
did.
we didn't have to interpret it, but we try to
Yeah.
because we don't like what it says.
I agree, but they based a lot of their beliefs and their writings on how things were in another country that they came from or their forefathers came from. The reason that they're in the United States is because of the way things were in Europe. Okay, they didn't like the way things were in
And I
Europe,
understand that. I understand.
and so we came here to what became the United States, and then we said, well, in order to have some sort of a society here, there are rules that we got to have, so we may as well adopt something. And they did. Now, could they look 250 years into the future about, oh God, we're fine with all these people coming into the country. We would like to populate this country. Well, that's fine. We don't need this country being barren. We've got a wide open country here. We're occupying at the time just a very small portion of the country.
If
So all y'all come on over.
if we had immigration laws
Well-
today that people were enforcing and using,
We have
this
them.
would not be a problem.
We have them, but they're not being
Which
enforced.
also, the people who drafted that Constitution, they were smarter than we give them credit for at times.
I give them a lot of credit.
They made
They
it
are
a
smart.
They made a living document. They gave a path for if the times changed enough that we needed to amend that Constitution. There's a path for that, but the path is not one person's opinion on how they interpret it
Correct.
or any one body's. It has to be the whole country or 2/3 of the country, let's say,
Correct.
has to agree to change it. It can't be, it shouldn't be that the Supreme Court gets to make their opinion on it. It says what it says, and that's the way it was meant to be. But,
That's
we
where the
keep trying
Convention of States comes out.
Well,
we keep trying to
I don't think
reinterpret it from either side.
the Supreme Court cannot abolish any amendment or any part of any element of the Constitution.
No.
Right.
Okay, they can interpret how that is
Right.
applied as far as laws are concerned.
they can cut the legs out from under it,
Laws.
or they can support it.
Laws, yes.
Laws.
Because laws are based upon what the Constitution says. All right?
All right.
And you cannot adopt any law. You can supposedly not adopt any law, like can't have Steve on the streets after 9 o'clock at night without just cause. You cannot adopt a law like that that restricts Steve from doing something, because the Constitution says Steve has the right to do these things.
But we have established that you can create time, place, and manner regulations for lots of things.
But it applies to everybody.
Yeah, it does apply
like
to everybody.
a curfew, for instance.
Correct.
Well, I was going to say there's some special laws in towns that govern people playing guitar and singing that
Noise
I don't
ordinances.
really agree with. It's called busking.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to just sit on the side of the road and play. You can, but as soon as somebody gives you a tip, you're breaking the law.
Yeah.
So
Oh, they give you a
I've
tip,
done it
you're
before,
breaking the
and I
law?
tell people, I have to tell people I cannot take money. There's a no busking law.
Oh, really?
Here. So
Wow.
I can play, but I
There's a
cannot
new
take
what?
money from you.
Busting law. I know how to get people arrested now.
Busking, B-U-S-K.
Just give them a quarter when they're out there playing on my front lawn. I give them a quarter, then they can be arrested.
In a lot of towns, Myrtle Beach is one of them. You can't do it in
Really?
Myrtle Beach.
Well, I can understand
Yeah,
Myrtle
no
Beach. They got
busking
their
in
own
Myrtle
laws.
We need a law.
Well,
to
yeah,
limit-
but I mean, you could also see that you would have, lots of people coming there and just, hanging out for tips.
Panhandling.
I could see a person. Well, I could see a person walking away with hundreds of dollars in tips a day down there if they let them do it.
Panhandling. Selling needles.
Right.
Remember the sale? Did you ever get
Yeah.
suckered into those? Somebody coming up to you in the parking lot was sewing needles for $3 or something?
Selling what?
Sewing needles.
Sewing
I
needles.
remember
Oh,
that.
Sewing
I thought you
needles.
said selling needles.
No,
I've
selling
never
them.
come across
No,
that.
the little wasn't it the Lions Club doing that?
No, it was individuals conning people. I got
Oh.
these needles here,
Right.
and I represent the blind.
Well, the Lions
They got
Club
into
used to
their
do
car
that.
and drove away.
I need some of those needles. Threading a needle is just
Hey, on my last note before I get off here, Rayford, I looked up some numbers we were talking yesterday
Yes,
about
please.
how many people may have been arrested and charged in the Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd protest and riots.
Okay.
I looked it up and found it on several different sites that at the end of 2020, there was just over 14,000 people arrested in connection with those riots and protests.
Okay. What were they charged with? Do you know?
It was a wide range of charges. Some was vandalism, some was trespass and destruction of public property, destruction of private property. But there was over 600 in Portland, over 900 in Milwaukee, and across the country it was just over 14,000 total.
Not a lot for
So quite a bit,
trespassing.
quite a bit.
Not a lot for trespassing, as I understand, as I recall. Correct. Most of them were for.
I
Committing acts
couldn't
of-
tell you, man. I didn't see an itemized
Okay.
list of what the charges were broke down.
I've looked at
I
them in
just
the
think that,
past, and that's why I was challenging. Most of them in the past, I don't recall. There may have been some for trespassing. If you trespass into a guy's property, his business property after hours, yeah, you're going to be arrested for it.
right.
But if you're, and most of that was for private property or whatever. But if most of those cases were for actual acts that were committed in the presence of a police officer, striking a police officer, yeah, you're going to get it. Burning a police car, yeah, you should get it. If you're overturning cars, if you're blocking traffic, there you cannot get out on a highway and create a jam, traffic jam. Burning stuff, burning police stations, as they did. There were all sorts of things like that. Yeah, a bunch of those people got arrested. How many of them were convicted?
Some of them were serious felonies. 19
Shootings.
people died.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I think it was a little over 2,000 felony charges
Mhm.
out of those 14,000. So,
Okay. I don't know. I know there were a bunch
it
of
was
people who did
significant.
it.
It was significant. Yeah. I knew it was a lot, but I didn't want to tell you some outrageous number until I knew for sure.
Mhm.
It was over 14,000 total. So a lot of people got arrested and held accountable for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was all of them, but a lot.
Always great talking to you.
Yes.
And we got 48 plus
All right.
hours to
Y'all
go.
have a blessed day.
You too, Steve. Stay safe.
No, we
and
got
warm.
24 plus hours to go, don't we? What's today? Thursday?
Yes.
24
Yeah.
plus 10. We got
30
about
hours.
34 hours to go. 30 hours or so to
Well,
go.
what if
What if what?
the world stopped spinning for an hour?
Then we will
I just
have
had to throw
we'll
what
have
if
an
out
extra
there.
24 hours.
Now,
The clocks will stop.
Or the sun does
I
something
think I'm
crazy.
going to need some
You
more
can't see
coffee.
the sun anyway.
Well, it's okay, but see if it tilts a little on its axis, then everything changes. The
Maybe it'll
days
melt the snow?
change, everything
The
changes.
snow would melt, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to start
Let's
scratching
all
my
lean to one
forehead here.
side. Thank you, Steve-O.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome, guys.
Well,
Bye.
Rayford, news is though,
What?
one of the persons that was in jail for rioting January 6th,
Uh-huh.
that was released by Trump's pardon, has already been rearrested.
Good. What for?
He was arrested Wednesday on pending federal gun charges. He already had gun charges. It was Daniel Ball, 39 of Florida, was taken into morning, according to an arrest warrant on a separate indictment returned by federal prosecutors in Florida last summer that charged him with unlawfully possessing a gun as a felon. He had at least
that's a
three.
state charge.
Yep, he had at least 3 previous felony convictions, one dating back to 2017 for domestic violence battery
Felony.
by strangulation,
Oh,
and
that's a bad one.
2 in October 2021, 9 months after the January 6th riot, for resisting law enforcement and battery on a law enforcement
Felony?
officer.
I hope it was a felony.
So he's going back. I'm
3
sure he
times.
will not be repardoned,
No, I doubt it.
you know. But I found the news story I wanted to tell you I heard
Okay.
about this morning.
Go ahead.
This happened last night.
That's kind of the issue with all these pardons
Yes.
is the fact that when these people get out there and you start finding out other things about them, it's going to make you look stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I saw an interview yesterday with a 17-year-old.
How many people would I bail out of jail that you know of?
Well,
Not that many.
I
Even
know.
those that I know.
But
You
I
fill
think
me in, Kelly.
if you have the time to individually look at each person or come up with some criteria
Uh-huh.
and not just wholesale pardon people.
I want a team of ex-cops who've done investigations and backgrounds
Right.
on my team to look at every one of those 1,500 people that he pardoned. If I was in his shoes, I'd have run on back. You got 4 years to do this.
Right.
I want a team of professionals to do a full background on Joe, Jack, Jim, John, and Bill, and get it done.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we've been talking. He sat down at the kitchen table and said, "I'm going to do this, and wrote up all this stuff. I'm sure he had people there with
They
him,
did.
but it was by the seat of his britches. It was like done fast, and there's going to be a lot more things that come out of it. There was one 17-year-old that was interviewed yesterday in the news who said he was actually the one that turned in his dad.
Yep. A lot
And
of
he
that's been
said he's
happening.
in fear of his life right now with his dad being cut loose. So,
Well, that must be a family,
Yeah.
disjointed family.
we've got Chris Miller's going to be calling at 8:15. But real quick, let me do this story for you because I want your thoughts on this,
Okay.
and I think you're going to think the same way I'm thinking when you hear this. 7 San Antonio Police Department officers were shot while responding to a call Wednesday night, and the suspect was found dead after an hours-long standoff. The officers were called to the Stone Oak neighborhood on a suicide in process. The first officer who arrived was shot, and 6 others subsequent to that were shot as well. 4 officers were shot. McManus earlier said 4 officers were shot, and none of their injuries were believed to be life-threatening, according to the Associated Press. The condition of the other officers is unclear. SWAT officers arrived to the scene, and the suspect barricaded himself inside an apartment for several hours. At the end of the event, the suspect was found to be deceased. We don't know if he was shot by a self-inflicted wound or whether or not he was shot by.
You go 50-50, suicide's more likely.
Yeah.
White guys, if they get a target, they'll take you down, and there's no doubt.
So it appears at this time that there was one suspect.
Yeah.
He's not been identified, and he had been arrested Saturday on assault and DWI charges and was out on
he had
bond.
problems. Okay.
Okay, this is my problem. This is. Let me read this one sentence again.
Keep that up. I'm going to run up here. I'll be right back.
The first officer who arrived was shot, and 6 others subsequent to that were shot as well. Now,
How?
It seems kind of strange to me. The first officer got there and was shot. Okay, that happens. Yes, we know. 6 others subsequent to that were shot as well.
Unless this guy was a sharpshooter and was very, very good.
I mean,
I don't know how they did that.
I think that it seems like the responding officers already knowing that you have an officer that's down, are going to immediately be super cautious and take cover. But this guy was able to shoot 6 more.
Yeah. Well, and I would think if they're responding to something, they spread out.
Yes.
They don't go right for the door.
Well, it's like
Not
you said, that guy
typically.
must have been a sharpshooter or something, because, I mean, it's a developing story and be updated later. But I just found it kind of odd that if you already have one officer down and maybe after the second one got shot or whatever, maybe it's time to reposition yourself.
Well, and was it a house? Was it a condominium? Was it
It
an
did not
apartment?
say. It just said it was in the Stone Oak neighborhood, and the officers were called to the neighborhood on a suicide in process call. So
Interesting.
it's going to be I'm waiting to hear the rest of the story, because if there was several people in the home
Mhm.
and they were shooting everywhere, I don't. It just seems crazy to me.
I just don't know how that's possible for one person with a gun, unless it was, I don't know.
I think it's
Unless they're
crazy
just
too.
doing something with an automatic rifle and zzz.
Yeah. I just find it. I'm rest of the story will come out and it'll probably explain itself, but I'm just like,
Well, and everybody has their own protocols for approaching things like a
Right.
suicide or a this or a that. And it's possible somebody could have called in the suicide knowing they were going to kill themselves at the end and been prepared to kill as many people as they could before they shot themselves.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's an interesting story.
I figured that Rayford would want to weigh in on that with his opinion. He chose to go get more hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Instead. So
And leave the door open so all
and
the
leave the
cold
door
air
open.
is
Yeah,
coming in.
I was just gonna say I could
Because I
feel
was
that
real
cold air.
comfortable here. Yesterday I was having a heat stroke, but
I could.
I'm going to
Okay,
push it. closer.
Okay. All right. Yeah. My feet are starting to get cold now. I got to put my boots back on, but I had them up on the heater to try to dry them out a little bit. Okay. Let
Well,
me
it's up
see.
to a whopping 12 outside now.
Yes, I saw that breaking news. We're up to 12 degrees. I'll tell you what, it has been bitter cold. And my littlest dog, he's so little, he's about 7 inches tall. So when he goes out in the snow, all you can see is his head.
Yeah.
So he's been the one that gets out there and jumps all around and runs in it. I'm like, get back in. My other dog, he's like, nope, not doing it. It is what it is.
Neither of mine want to go out. I took Shockwave. If I put Shockwave on the leash and take him out the driveway, he'll
Right.
go. And last night we walked down the road. That's how I knew that there was so much black ice out there. I had to walk on the snow, not the ruts where people had been on the road. And he was on the snow. He wouldn't even walk in the flat part because it was so slippery.
I wouldn't want to walk on it. I should have gone out and cleared the back patio so they'd have a path into the yard. And guess what? I did nothing. How about this? The U.S. Coast Guard in the state of Florida have started referring to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, a new label being pushed by Donald Trump.
Yeah, I heard that.
Now, how do you feel about that? Cold.
I don't know. It will take her very long to catch on.
That was one of the executive orders signed by Trump on his first day in office, and the United States Coast Guard announced that it would deploy additional assets to multiple locations, including the maritime border between Texas and Mexico
That's what we
in
were
the
talking about
Gulf
yesterday.
of America.
Mhm.
Right. They're referring to it now as the Gulf of
The
America.
president is.
Yes, that's
I don't know anybody else that is yet, except who he designates.
maritime.
It's almost 15 after.
Wow.
Is that it?
A little bit of.
Got a little feedback.
Okay. Sometimes we get that kind of noise on there. Chris he's got a big whistle in his house. You know that? He goes, beep.
Took it off a
Hey,
ref.
Chris.
Hey, good morning. How is everybody doing this
Good morning.
Snowy morning?
Chris Miller, Jacksonville Daily News sports editor extraordinaire. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. But Rafer, what is this issue? What is this thing I hear about you throwing snowballs at little kids yesterday?
Well, they shouldn't have been in my driveway. Well, they really weren't in my driveway. They were across the highway on the highway on Piney Green Road, and I just stood down there. I didn't throw them. I actually have a launcher. And they weren't snowballs. They were snow boulders because I made some really big ones, and then I froze them last night. The night before, I sprayed water on them so they'd be nice and hard on the outside.
So basically, you're a get off my yard type of guy.
No, I'm going to move you.
And be sure to close the door next time you leave the room to get some hot chocolate.
Yeah, there you go. Why, did I leave the door open?
Yes, you did. And
Oh,
Robbie
okay.
and I all of a sudden felt the cold breeze coming in.
I was hoping I could let it cool off in here because it is now 76 degrees in the studio.
Well, I can turn it down low or turn it off.
Okay, just turn it down
And grab
lower.
my shoes while I'm there.
We got the barefoot Lee in here today. If she's drying her boots over there on the heater. She came in wearing boots and she got them all wet. How do you get your boots wet in snow? Snow is frozen stuff, isn't it?
There was snow all over the top, and I wore my rugged boots today
You wore
because
that?
they're anti-slip.
Rugged boots.
My rugged boots, my jungle boots.
Well, I got some ideas then. Maybe we should get the next year's football team to do the same thing, just in
they're
case,
nice
so
and
they
warm.
couldn't be slip sliding around there on the field. What do you think? Would that be unfair advantage?
Yeah, that would be that would be pretty neat if have some football in the snow. And we actually I didn't ever play a game, but I was involved in the game back when we had that semi-pro team. We had one of our big games in Virginia played in the snow many years ago, about 20-some years ago, and that was a pretty unique experience. And it made it even more special that we won the game, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But that was pretty neat, playing, being involved in the football game in the snow like that.
I've watched years past when there was nothing else on TV because we had 3 channels, and I had the TV on, and I watched a couple of games where I saw it snowing, and I'm like, how can the name of heaven can they even hold on to the football? It's wet. You know that. It's a wet ball. How do you throw that sucker? When you get a football wet, it's pretty slippery.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's hard,
Uh-huh.
and your hands are cold,
Uh-huh.
and so it really tests you physically and mentally. So, but it is kind of neat to see, like the other last week, one of the playoff games, NFL playoff games, was played in the snow in Philadelphia. That was pretty fun to see and pretty neat to watch on TV. But I wouldn't think it'd be too fun to play in it like that. But
No.
that's why those guys get paid millions of dollars to have to do that type of stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, can we sit this one out? How are we looking? We got how much longer for basketball this season?
Well, we just well, after this week, we got 3 weeks left in the regular season, which it seems like the basketball season went by pretty fast.
It has.
And a part of it is because the football, the fall season extended as long as it did.
4 weeks for us.
Yeah, so for several weeks. So, basketball season actually starts pretty much in the middle of November. So, we're all on schedule, and it just seems like it's gone so fast. But we got 3 weeks left in the regular season. Obviously, the games played this week. No, we didn't have a lot of games this week because this week was exam week. But we did have games scheduled for like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Wednesday, today, and Friday, and they're going to have to be made up in one way, shape, or form. And they have to be made up because they're conference games. So the coaches and athletic directors will squeeze those games in as best they can. And then, like I said, we have 3 weeks left, and then conference tournament, and then the state playoffs will come after that. So, and then before you know it, we'll start talking about baseball and softball and soccer and lacrosse and all the other outdoor sports.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, you see basketball goals up in neighborhoods all over outside and at the end of a court or in the yard. Why can't we have some professional or high school basketball games outside? What's wrong with that?
Because I think it would be very, very cold outside. I mean, they do. There are leagues and associations that do like 3-on-3 stuff like that.
Oh.
Because they want an
basketball
audience.
leagues that are outside, or
Amen
indoors
to that,
as well.
Robbie.
But yeah, I don't think I'd want to be outside for a long period of time in this weather.
Yeah, the bleachers would keep your buns pretty cold too, right? For the folks out there
Yeah.
who want to watch it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the word is that the schools won't allow you to bring your own hot chocolate, so that would be a
Oh no, I'm
You
not
know,
going.
we've
Forget
got
about
to, we need to go before the administrators of the public schools and they have
No.
a new rule.
Let's just go all the way to the top. North Carolina High School Athletic Association. Nobody will restrict anybody who wants to attend a football game from bringing in hot chocolate. How's that?
Well, especially the elders,
Yeah.
because we can't go stand in line for an hour.
No. Can't afford to pay $12
It's
for a cup of hot chocolate. And it won't be hot when I
affects
get
our
back
health.
and it won't be hot when I get back to the seat.
That's right.
It
Because
affects our health.
if you're old and you go to a game, it's because you want to watch the game,
Yeah.
not be standing in line talking to people and waiting for your hot chocolate.
That's right.
It'll be cold when you get back to the stands.
That's right.
Okay, now put that in
We
motion.
made our case.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries.
We'll be sure to implement that new law and going forward into the next fall season. But yeah, like I said, there's 3 weeks left, and then all the postseason stuff will
That's cool.
will take place. So this is we're in the final stretch of the basketball season. I mean a few weeks left, and then the spring sports season, the practices and tryouts actually start February 12th. So a few weeks from now. So that's and those poor coaches and athletes. It's so cold outside.
Yeah.
And working on baseball and everything. So it can be tough.
Well, they're going to have to get something different for the baseballs then because those things are always white. They're going to lose them in the snow.
Well, here's a question for you, Chris. Who are our front runners right now with basketball in Onslow?
On the boys' side, Swansboro and Southwest are our 2 best teams. I think Swansboro has a really good chance of going pretty far, and then in their classification, and same thing with Southwest. On the girls' side, we have a lot of good competitive teams, but we don't really have that one team that really stands out. They're not in Onslow County, but I cover them. East Duplin over in Buellville is having a great season so far, and then Croatan girls are having a good season so far as well. Both teams only have like 1 loss, so they're doing really well. But on the boys' side, Southwest and Swansboro, they seem to be doing really well. And the only 2 losses that Southwest has is to Swansboro, and Swansboro's only losses to the big 4A school, New Hanover, which is probably a favorite to win the 4A state championship. So they're having some great seasons.
Wow. My mother played basketball when she was in high school. And they took us one time. My parents did when we were visiting South Carolina. Went on over to where she played basketball. That town, I can't even remember the town or the school, but they showed us a plaque that had her name on it and the members of the basketball team because they were the state champions for that year. That was pretty cool. I got to find that.
Cool.
That just brought up a memory. I got to find that and go see that.
We
We
used
need
to
to
have
pull
a
up.
picture of
Yeah.
her
Yeah, and basketball.
in basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to find that. That would be cool.
I need to
post
go to
that.
that school and get a picture of that plaque if they got it. If not, they find it and I'll take the plaque.
We know
It's very
people.
interesting it's very interesting that you said that because my wife and I, our 11-year-old, we took our 11-year-old to open house at the middle school. Before school started, it was the same middle school that I went to, and we go into the gym to do all the stuff we need to do, and we go back to the lobby, and there's a picture of a football team that I was in the picture for winning first place for women conference. So I showed it to her, and so that was kind of neat to be able to show her.
Absolutely.
Daddy right there.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool stuff.
Very
That's
cool.
good. All those memories, and we need to sometimes resurrect them, at least in our heads.
But we need to resurrect those
Mm-hmm.
old memories, because right now this world needs some good, fresh, wonderful
Yep.
memories to talk about.
You got that right. Okay. Chris,
As long as they're not good, fresh, no.
there is no such
I'm
thing
right
as
there with you, Chris.
there is
I
no
mean,
such thing as good or fresh snow.
I love the snow. I mean, it's nice to get it, once every 10 years.
Only on TV.
But it's having to deal with the effects, like coming in here this morning. I mean, I didn't go over, I think 17 to 19 miles per hour was my top
And
speed.
that's when she had the brakes on.
And that's what I don't like about the storms. And how many people passed me this morning? Crazy as it was, but
All right. You'll catch up with them soon.
I fishtailed only once, and did kind of take a turn a little wider than normal, but it was because of the ice. But other than that, took my time. I was fine, but that's the part you don't like.
That's what all you guys need to be doing out there. Slow your butts down.
If it could just snow in the grass and not on the road, we'd be okay.
Or they could put. Here's what they need to do: is put when they build the roads, put wires in the bottom of them. They could turn the heater on.
Okay, that would be so nice until you got to hold the roll and the wire sticking out, and you run over it, and there goes your tire.
They know you get electrocuted.
But let's look at it positively.
All right, Chris. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, y'all stay safe.
You
All
too.
right,
Bye. Okay, let's do a little bit of that weather.
Do some
I'm gonna do some marine forecast, but I started at don't even think about it today. Offshore, it's still breezy. That's one of the reasons, and you don't want to fall in the water. You're not going to have fun, so why even go, right? Northerly
Right.
winds 10 to 15 knots offshore, seas 3 to 5 feet, 2 to 3 near shore. Sounds and rivers of moderate chop. The inlets are going to be sloppy. The waves that are breaking on your boat, if you're trying to get out there, are going to be cold water falling on you. Yeah. Tomorrow, northerly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 4 feet, 2 to 3 near shore again. Sounds and rivers, moderate chop. Saturday, and I think the temperature is going to be a little bit warmer on Saturday too, but offshore, northerly winds 10 to 15 knots, becoming northwesterly 5 to 10 in the afternoon, 2 to 4 footers, sounds and rivers, a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon. If the temperature outside on Saturday is okay, it will be an okay to go as long as you wear your life jacket.
Always take your life jacket and wear it. That's what it's there for.
Under
You
the
never
bow cap,
know.
it does not do you any good.
You never know when you go, like you say, slip and then
Uh-huh.
hit your head, then fall over.
Do they have heated life jackets?
We could make one.
No.
Like our heated seats,
No.
stadium seats?
They have heated vests.
I
that you
bet they
can
have
get and
heated
wear
underwear. Yeah.
under your
There's heated
life
underwear,
vests.
but all that stuff weights you down too. Keep that in mind. You get, if you're, whatever amount of clothes you got on, it's going to absorb water and you're going to sink. You
It's
better
a-
have a really good life jacket.
Well, if a 300-pound man with a life jacket fell over, would he sink faster?
No, because
So what's a
how
life? What's
can
a
I
vest
do
gonna
this diplomatically?
Fat floats.
That's it. I won't be diplomatic.
I will tell you, when I was like
That's
110
bad.
pounds, I could not get to the bottom of a pool to save my life.
110
Or I
pounds.
could.
You could. All you
I
got to
could
do
go
is
down.
just.
Yeah, I just aimed for the bottom and zip when I was diving.
When I was 6'2" and 128 pounds, I could not float. I had to hold my breath,
Yeah, me too.
put a lot of air in my chest and my lungs, and just that way I could float. But as soon as I sank.
Well, I
Yeah.
can honestly say I've never had the desire to dive to the bottom.
Why?
No. Why?
Now when I dive or when I'm snorkeling and I see something I'd like to get to the bottom, I am fighting to get down
What you
there.
do? What divers and snorkelers have to do is wear a weight belt for that.
Yeah. I've done that once or twice. Yeah.
Overweight
Okay.
yourself so you
Are
can.
we ready for
Yeah.
today's weather?
It's going to be
Did you
cold.
finish?
I did. I've been finished.
Okay.
It's
That's what you need.
14 now.
Wow, it's going up.
I know it's
Heat wave.
climbing quick.
Heat wave. Today, partly sunny with a high near 32. Tonight,
We're halfway
mostly
there.
cloudy with a low around 14. Friday,
geez.
partly sunny with a high near 39. Friday night, mostly clear with a low around 16. And Saturday, sunny with a high near 44. So I know Sunday is supposed to be near 50 degrees,
Yay.
but it's the 9th. So we'll just go ahead and hurry up and melt this stuff now.
Crunch, crunch in the mornings.
And have a good day where it'll dry off the
You
roads.
need some wind.
Phew, it would be it would be so good because that's the biggest problem that we have right now
Yep.
is everything refreezing at night.
How about if we just all went out and got some Morton salt and poured out there on the road?
Yeah,
No,
I've
that's
done that
bad for
before.
the environment and the dogs.
Yeah,
Well, they don't eat the snow.
It's bad for their paws.
Oh,
I had a
don't
friend.
walk
I
on
have
it.
a friend.
Chemicals and salt are really bad for.
A
Don't do it.
friend that is a government office, and they're renting the office from a landlord with a strip mall. And of course, the post office is real big on putting rock salt out
Oh,
to
yeah.
accommodate the customers and the employees. And this landlord said, no, you cannot put any out because it tears up the sidewalk. It eats at the sidewalk.
It also will
It does.
kill all the vegetation. If the winter runoff will kill everything around
Yep.
it.
Well, it goes into a parking lot, a big parking lot. So there's no fear of the vegetation there. But I don't know. Would you rather run the risk of somebody slipping and falling and getting sued? Or would you rather just
You use kitty litter.
I mean, how often do we have snow? How often do we salt the roads and the sidewalks? And how often have you ever heard of somebody having to redo a sidewalk because of rock salt that you placed once in several years?
I don't know. I've seen sidewalks with a little crack in them that they get water in them, and then when that freezes hard, like when we have 10 degrees, like we did last night,
Yes.
Frost
it will
heaves.
crack the sidewalks.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then we get potholes all during
But
the
isn't
wintertime,
that
too.
part of nature?
I don't think they have sidewalks.
Why would
way back
why would you not try to put safety first?
If we have really, really cold weather like we do now, and then the sun's going to pop out and it's all going to melt, then you don't need to put anything down.
Oh, I
It will
agree with
melt.
that. But if you're a business owner, Rayford, and say you have a shop right there
Mhm.
on New Bridge Street, and there's a lot of foot traffic in and out, and if you had ice right there in your doorway, going up, and would you salt it?
The best business to have right now under these kinds of conditions
Snowplow?
no, would be a house of massage where you could just make sure that the sidewalks up and down in front of your place are slippery. When people fall, to go make an appointment.
Wow. I don't know. It's just, I've just,
That's why you have people out there in the middle of the night as it's snowing, shoveling your walks
Yeah.
to get them
you want
cleared
to
off.
see me in the middle of the night out there in the snow?
Let 'em fall. Let 'em fall. That's what it is.
Not happening.
Trump is the key character in all of the news these days. We know that, right?
Yes, we do.
Coast Guard
Front and
Commander,
center.
Commandant, a woman Trump and others said had the command simply because she fell in the DEI category. She's no longer there. We've talked about that a couple of times.
Yes.
The Office of Personnel Management notified heads of agencies and departments this week that they must begin taking steps to close all diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's DEI, in case y'all didn't know what it stands for, offices by the end of yesterday, and place government workers in those offices on paid leave. It will be short term, by the way. And by the end of this week, end of yesterday, those steps had already been taken. Interesting to note that the heads and acting heads of those agencies and departments ask employees if they know of any efforts to disguise these programs using coded or imprecise language. Word coming down after the November election code classification after Trump won, Biden lost. Code classifications were put into place in an effort to camouflage employees who were holding positions simply because they fit the DEI definition. So instead of by their names, it says DEI or whatever, they would put a little red ball or whatever color. They were using color codes after November to classify these people in these positions. They're looking to find out what these color codes and other codes are. A number of other requirements are being implemented, including removal of websites and other promotions of the government's DEI efforts. If the only claim to fame you've got is that you fit a certain category and you don't have anything else to offer,
Mhm.
and they put you all together in the same offices, you got nothing but DEI laden offices. How good is that? How equitable is that? How efficient is that? And that's a question that this new administration is asking. I suspect we're going to see a lot of employees who were in place simply because they fit a category looking for jobs these days. No doubt, many had real talents. I'm not going to dispute that. And I would hope that they would be the first to be hired to fill positions that will be open. There are going to be positions opened up that are filled only because by a person who fits the category DEI that have no other qualifications that are needed. Take the people with qualifications, regardless of their leanings, and put them into those positions first. They're already federal employees. That should be the way it's done.
Yes.
Personal opinion. Other than agency and department heads, I doubt that that was not the reason the DEI was put into place in the first place. I don't know what that whole thing was about. It will be interesting if the General Accounting Office will, when the smoke clears. Now, the General Accounting Office is like the people who investigate things when issues, right? They make sure things are in place. When the smoke clears, the GAO hopefully will be able to show whether our government was paying people to do nothing and how much money will be saved. Maybe taxes will come down. That would be a welcome relief, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I know when Trump was president, I was getting back $100 more on my income tax returns than I do now. That all changed.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, one year I had to pay in all my years of doing tax returns, I have never, ever, ever, ever had to pay a cent.
I want to know why the price of gas is going up. Over the last 2 weeks at the big box store that I shop at, it's gone up 9 cents, I think it was, from $2.62 to $2.71 when I filled up this week.
Yep.
It was $2.62.
The last time I filled up was around $2.71, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't filled up since. So hopefully the gas will start going down.
I
But,
hope so.
you know.
Let's see. The director of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, she's quit. She resigned her position. While a Biden-era executive order that sought to phase out the use of private prisons has been repealed. President Donald Trump says, we got to fix this prison system. We've got problems. Colette Peters, who has led the BOP since August of 2022, took off on Inauguration Day. She just left. She knew that handwriting was on the wall, and she was right at the top. During 2 congressional inquiries, I don't know whether y'all remember watching these or not, but Ms. Peters wasn't very knowledgeable about her position, not even of the basic workings of the prison system. She didn't even know how many employees there were in the entire prison system, and she was in charge. And she carried a tablet with her during the inquiries, and she had to look up everything on her little computer. Everything she was in a computer. She knew nothing. She was a face, a body in place.
I'm going to tell you, I could not tell you when I was working exactly how many people there were, this, that, or the other, because my brain doesn't process numbers. I have to have something to look it up.
How many students were there at Carter Community College the last year you were there, and that was what, about 2018?
I have no idea.
You don't remember?
No,
You
I'm
knew then,
telling
right?
you. Well, I might have.
Okay.
I may not have. And I can know
You
a
used
thing.
to tell me so. And I
I
don't
can
remember.
know a thing, and then I can't get to it. So if I was on the line with something, I would have to bring the numbers with me so I didn't screw it up.
On her watch, they
Just
had
saying.
they had one prison unit, one of the units in the whole system. It was nicknamed Rape Central, women's unit.
Oh,
They were sued. The federal system was sued. $100 million, more than $100 million was paid out to the inmates who filed the suit. Nobody had done anything about it. She didn't do anything about it. That suit was just happened not long ago. Several prison staffers who were there are now behind bars. Good. Maybe you'll get a little taste of what you
wow.
put up with.
I just want everything to go back to where we respected each other. We called each other Mr., Mrs., ma'am, sir.
You're running for
Miss-
Miss America, aren't you?
Here we go, world peace again. And just, this stupidity of, you can't call somebody her, she, or whatever. You have to say that.
Hershey's good.
Hershey is good, but and this like men in the women's bathroom or men in the women's sports, vice versa, whatever. I don't think they have any contest on sewing, so you don't see women in men's. Anyway,
Men can compete in sewing or cooking contests just fine. It doesn't require you to be a certain sex.
but
Men who claim to be a woman participating in strength tests,
right.
they by nature.
But it's gotten so ridiculous. I got to the point where it was coming down to the other,
It did.
It was ridiculous. I mean, let's get back to the way it used to be when we all respected each other. There was two sexes God created, male and female.
Well,
If you choose to be something else, that's your business. But
don't
I
expect
shouldn't.
anything from it.
Exactly. You know when you're doing it that I was born a female, but I want to be a male. Okay, that's your business.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
And there's no requirement that I got to hire you
But don't expect me to have to turn my life upside down to accommodate you.
because you want to be a high fashion model, a female high fashion model, and you weren't born equipped with that. Don't expect me to hire you to be a model for me.
Are you guys going to only respect people that believe the way you do?
No, I didn't say respect.
No, I just said.
Expect me.
But
know.
see, the problem is,
But Lee was talking about respecting people. And
I respect everyone. Regardless, if you're a female and you chose to be a male, fine. I have a lot of friends that are gay, homosexual, whatever, and they're just like everyday people, my friends, But the problem is that I'm seeing it where the other side expects us to bend, where none of us should be bending. We should all be getting along. That's the point I was making. That DEI was just getting out of hand.
Oh, well, yeah. If the only reason you're hired is because
To fill a quota.
that's it. And the quota system is an awful system to have.
Yes, it should be by merit.
Yeah, and that's the only reason. And if there's a situation that is out there that you need to do, law enforcement was infamous for this for a while. Every cop, not every cop, in a lot of police departments, you were required to. The sergeant would about halfway through the month say, you haven't read very many tickets this month. Well, you know how many people I've stopped from violating the law,
Oh
from
gosh,
committing
don't
crimes
start that
without
again.
giving them a ticket? Yeah, just my mere presence will stop it. The fear of the blue lights hanging around all the time,
Right.
that stops it.
Right.
One of our good friends, Jerry Reed, he
Mhm.
probably prevented more crimes, just the fear of Jerry Reed showing up.
When
prevented
Jerry
more
Reed
crimes.
drove into
But
a
he had to-
parking lot,
Yeah, everybody left.
and somebody said, "Oh, Reed's here,"
Gone.
everybody left.
Yep. So-
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
Speaking of such, and this has already been put on it's already been put in the paper and everything. But we all lost a good friend last week. I think it was
Oh.
January 19th. Steve Drew
Yeah.
out
I
of
saw that.
Swansboro. He used to work with the sheriff's office. And then he went to work for Swansboro PD, and he was a school resource
Mhm.
officer for the county schools. But I've known Steve since early 80s, and good person.
I think I met him at a parade or two.
Probably.
When we started doing parades here.
Mhm.
We're in a couple of parades. I think I met him at those because
Yeah,
I
but
saw his picture. and
condolences
he
to his
looked
family.
familiar, yeah.
And I
He
was shocked.
75.
I didn't even know he had been sick or ill
Uh-huh.
or whatever. I don't know the details of his passing, but a friend had posted it, and I was like, "What?" And it was his obit was in the JDN. So
Okay, okay. You're live and local. Good morning. Who is this?
Hey guys, it's Steve again.
Hey,
Sorry,
Steve again,
double
Mr.
call
Again.
on
How
you.
you doing?
I'm doing okay. I just wanted to make a quick point to Lee, and this was something I found interesting, and I think you might find it interesting as well. When I heard you make the comment that God made man and a woman, and and that was it. I looked into that a little bit, and it turns out that in America, every few thousand births, they have to call in what's called a gender specialist, and that's because the doctors and nurses at the hospital do not have the ability to determine whether the child is male or female.
Right.
right.
They appear to be both. And so that specialist comes in, and sometimes it can come down to a DNA test that they do to try and determine if it's 51% one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, they may do gender surgery to make them appear to be all one.
Based upon what
Or
the
the other.
parents
Yeah.
want, right?
Right.
Right, but based on the parents and what the gender specialist determines as well. But so it's not, nature or God disputes the claim that only males and females.
Mhm.
There's a real gray area in the physical form.
That's
In
what
the
you're talking
physical
about.
form alone, there's a big gray area.
You're talking about in the physical form. The physical form.
But let me finish.
Go
In
ahead.
the physical form, there's such a gray area. So I can only imagine in the mental side of it that even if somebody was born and appeared to be all male or female, that from a mental standpoint, they may feel differently. And I don't understand that per se because I'm not that way. But I can understand that it's not black and white. There's a real gray area when it comes to gender. In reality, not in what we believe. For years, I believed God made man and woman, and that was it. But the facts show something different.
Yeah. Other than physical ability, there's kind of a spectrum. We all have feminine and masculine traits, and it depends on which ones we resonate with as to which ones we squash and which ones we celebrate. And so that creates a problem. The physical problem, the difference in men and women physically is only a problem in athletics, as far as I can see. It's only athletics that has
And
kind of
bathrooms.
focused us on that and made everybody now so upset because athletics are such a big deal.
Well, they're so competitive.
Yes.
And a male competing as a woman and a woman's sport of swimming, running, or whatever. If they're playing chess, we got over that thing many years ago, didn't we?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. Chess.
Right.
If you're dealing with
That's
the brain,
mental.
if you're
Yeah.
dealing with the brain power, it
Well-
does not matter. But if you're dealing with physical now, and everybody's going to point out, well, I know women that can do more than any man I've ever seen. Yeah, there are going to be exceptions.
Yeah.
Here's my intellectual thought on it.
Mhm.
Is that why not like wrestling, it be by weight class? Because you can have a man of small
think it
stature and a
is.
woman of large stature. I know women that are over 6 foot tall that tower over me. So I've always thought that it was odd that it's not by weight class. Because it's not really fair for a 6 foot tall, 200-pound woman to compete against a 5'2", 120-pound woman in a strength contest.
Well, that applies in boxing now for men. Okay, that is
Right.
going to be the case. There are going to be weight categories, even man against man. Okay, woman against
There's
woman.
the way to do it in wrestling now too.
Yeah, and I
Men
don't
and
know about
women
that.
compete.
But a woman against woman, if you want to set up weight categories, that's one thing. But as a general rule, if you've got a 150-pound, 5'10" man, maybe 175-pound, 5'10" man going up against a 5'10" woman of the same weight category, I don't know whether you're going to have the same abilities or not.
Well, physically, men and women are different.
Yeah.
And so there are going to be some moves, if you're going to use wrestling or whatever, boxing or whatever, there's going to be some things that men do better and some things
Yep.
that women do better because of their physical abilities. And those are different from person to person, of course.
Now, I want to go back to what Robbie said about these feminine traits. Feminine traits such as what?
Well, there
Cooking?
are.
What? Are you talking physical traits?
No,
or,
I'm just talking about, Robbie mentioned feminine traits. Some women have feminine traits, men have masculine
I
traits.
understand what you're saying,
So,
Robert.
yeah, but I'm just trying to figure out what those traits are.
Well, those are not physical ability traits.
Physical traits there.
I'm talking
Gotcha.
culturally. I mean, I think we're both born with the same kind of abilities. And to some extent, how we're raised determines which of those sort of preponderance of things. People are born with talents.
Yes.
Some people are better
And
at
some
some
people
birth
are born
at some
with-
things than the other.
no talent.
And some of those things we associate with masculine traits, and some of them we associate with
Well,
feminine.
we're leaving out one
feminine
thing
traits.
here and everything we've discussed, desire. So a guy or a woman is born, she wants to do things that may not be traditionally female. And a man is born, wants to do things that are traditionally female, like cooking. Or, other than the professional cooks out there, there are a lot of men out there who cook, as we know. But that's not a traditional, in the past, in the history, that's not traditionally a man's profession.
Yeah, but at the same time, they don't sit there
have
and
desires.
ask for special rights and special accommodations because of what they do.
I think I'm going to.
Here we go.
Well,
You might be cooking by
I think
yourself.
I think the big question was, is it fair for males and females to compete against each other? Did males automatically have an advantage over the
I just
females?
talked
And
to,
my point was is that already in wrestling, they
They-
have males and females compete against each other.
but
and
they're
do
by
it because
weight
of
class.
By weight class.
Yes.
And it seems to be fair. It does not seem that the males have an advantage if they're in the same weight class.
Uh-huh.
It seems to balance things out a little bit.
Well, and
So we have an example of a sport where they have found a way to manage that.
Football.
Well, I think there's another situation. Let's take track and field for just a second. Let's take running. Let's take somebody running the 100-yard dash. He's 6'4" tall, male or female. They got legs up to here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How are they going to be able to pick them up and run them faster than somebody with, who's 4 feet 7 inches tall?
Weightlifting.
Probably not.
well,
Probably not.
but I would
You
again.
don't see very many short people running.
No, you don't.
In,
But I'm saying there's an advantage as far as the length of the legs are concerned.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, with
We could
everything
argue about
else
this
being
all day.
equal, you've got to have an advantage there, right? But they don't compete with the length of their legs.
And maybe the issue is that we're just too competitive.
Yeah,
Maybe
We got too
sports have
nitpicky.
gotten away from developing athletic ability in children and young adults to who's going to make the most money for somebody, who's going to make a lot of money. And so then it's become so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Everything comes down to money.
Yep.
Anyway, I just want to jump in with that one little point. I appreciate that.
You just finished up today messing it up again, Steve.
It's just
let
so
it out.
debatable.
I like it.
You screwed it up again, Steve.
Well, I tell you, man,
Thanks,
facts
Jesus.
and logic, they get in the way of a lot of opinions. And most of them, I have the same trouble.
Facts,
They get in
logic.
the way of my opinions of truth.
Yeah, I've been in the same boat. Okay.
All right. Well, once again, y'all have a blessed day.
You too.
Bye.
And I have an update for the city of Jacksonville today.
It's
They have
closed.
changed their schedule today.
Again,
Most city offices will operate on a 3-hour delay tomorrow. The following are our service changes for January 23rd. City Hall and most public offices will open at 11 a.m. Center for Public Safety, Public Records opens at 11 a.m. All recreation centers will open at 11 a.m. tomorrow, but previously scheduled programming and activities will be canceled. The Snow Day event scheduled for Friday, January 24th is also postponed, and sanitation due to the dangerous condition on residential roads and the county landfill closure. Sanitation will not operate tomorrow. So you're not going to get your trash picked up tomorrow. And Jacksonville Transit will begin operating at 9:55 Thursday today. So that's an hour from now.
okay.
So they are opening up some
So
of
our
the stuff.
trash out there by the road gonna stay out there till Tuesday?
Maybe. I forgot to put mine out.
Well, it's probably frozen in there now. I
Here's
don't know
the,
that we
here's the
can
situation.
move it.
Okay, now I
Just
don't.
gotta have to eat less.
It's not stinky. That's
No.
all I care about.
Here, no, but seriously, okay, we're closed this week. I understand that. You don't want to put garbage trucks out there on the road.
I
But
understand.
if other people are going to be out there, they're opening up tomorrow. You got Friday afternoon, you got Saturday, and you got Sunday. They've been off all week.
Okay, it's going to cost the city overtime to send them out
Not
after
if they're on
hours.
snow days.
Tell me,
But do they get snow
it's
days?
16
know.
degrees now.
Yep.
High today's 32. How is the situation changed before tomorrow?
Because it's going to be warmer.
And
It's
you've
going to be
got,
less cold.
yeah, it's going to be
tomorrow.
less cold. It's going to be right
When?
at freezing.
When is it going to be less cold?
Let me see what it
What's
What's
is.
less
I know.
cold?
I think tomorrow. What did we say it was going to be?
I
Let me
don't
look
know.
it
That
up
was
on
you.
this one.
I'm
They
sure
do it.
somebody in their
I
infinite
already
wisdom has checked
Deleted
that.
it. Let me see. Tomorrow's a high of 44.
Okay, so
Well, I guess if it starts warming up really
What's the
fast
overnight low?
tomorrow, it'll be all right.
Overnight low is 21. We
Okay.
don't rise
it's gonna
above
wa-
freezing
it's-
until Sunday going into Monday.
it's going to warm up real fast tomorrow then. And,
Yes.
so it'll start clearing off.
Yes, I hope it's already warmed up by the time I leave here.
Yeah, the high is going to be 32 today.
16.
I know it. I was hoping maybe some of the roads will be chopped up a little bit from people.
You can camp
there.
out if you want to until the temperature goes up.
That might be Saturday,
Be-
but I appreciate it. Anyway, the school shooting yesterday, Rayford, we didn't touch on that. This is getting out of hand.
Where was this?
Nashville, Tennessee, Antioch High School.
Anybody hurt?
Tennessee school shooter killed one and injured another, identified as a teen student.
Oh, God.
The now deceased gunman accused in the deadly shooting Wednesday morning at Nashville, Tennessee High School has been identified.
Who killed him?
He killed himself. Metropolitan Nashville Police identified 17-year-old Solomon Henderson as the shooter at Antioch High School. Henderson was an active student at the school, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound after shooting 2 other students.
All from the case.
Jocelyn
Shame.
Escalante, 16, was killed in the shooting, and a 17-year-old boy sustained injuries to his arm, and he was grazed by a bullet. And
So-
he's been treated and released. And they said that Nashville police said during a news conference that Henderson, who was armed with a pistol, fired multiple shots in the cafeteria of the high school. And his motive has not yet been determined, but investigators are examining what they call very concerning online writings and social media posts by
Too
the
bad they
shooter.
didn't find him earlier.
Yes, red flags once again, but I'm glad. I mean, I hate this. It just seems to
If
be.
you guys, we're going to do it again. If you see something, say something. If you know
Exactly.
something, say something. If you suspect something, say something. If you're dealing with online behavior changes in some of your friends,
Right.
if they're going out there getting kind of wacky, in your opinion,
Mhm.
think about it. What if? Now, this is a time that what if you might want to apply. What if something does happen? Am I going to be sitting here thinking, God, I wish I had called somebody? Don't you call them. Put
Well-
the burden on them to act and react.
Have you ever maybe made a phone call concerning someone to maybe a family member saying, hey, you need to keep a watch on them,
Yeah,
or you
then they
need to
fight you.
investigate this? And regardless, if you feel it, if you see those red flags, if you end up losing a friendship over it, well, so be it.
lose friendship or lose
Right.
friend. You know,
That's right.
And families are going to be in denial.
And
That's right,
and then how about
exactly.
all of the innocent people out there that oh God, I wish I had called about, little Joey, because we know
Yes.
he's a crazy guy
Yes.
and he's done this and done that. He set fire to the cats one time. I do know somebody that could have been saved if
think
that had been taken. That action had been taken.
I doubt that
In the
would have
60s.
helped. But yeah.
Yeah.
Phew, that fire in Los Angeles is
getting
already. They just ordered evacuation of 5,000 more people in the Los Angeles.
There's not going to be
What?
anybody
Huge
left out
fire
there.
forces partial evacuation of 5,000 plus person Los Angeles jail.
They're evacuating the jail.
Yes.
Maybe they just put those people out there fighting the fire.
Why not?
Hello.
Why not? Well, it's like when it threatened the water tower, the water plant over there. I just go up there and unplug it, the water, and let. I mean, why not?
Okay, by the way, you guys, this winter storm we've had this week, it has a name.
Yes.
It does. What's
It
its name?
It's a
does.
Muppet name.
So what?
Muppet.
It sounds like something from a Muppet
Okay,
movie.
the name of it is Enzo.
Enzo.
Oh, it is a Muppet
E-N-Z-O.
name.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
It's
that.
also a race car driver,
What?
I think.
I know there was a wrestler, Enzo.
There's a race car driver, Enzo.
Everything I've said,
Maybe
seen
that was
written,
last
it was
name.
all capital letters too, which is weird.
Enzo.
E-N-Z-O. Enzo, welcome to
That's
the
definitely a
winter
Muppet.
storm, Enzo 2025. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Stay warm.
Is it time? Oh.
Stay warm. Do we have anybody coming in tomorrow?
Well,
or-
we were supposed to have Trevor Donnell and
Oh, that's right.
Captain Dixon,
Well, they can get here.
but I'm going to check with them to
Yeah.
make sure because
Bring it on.
we've already changed it once. But and just a little
This
tidbit
is
on
about Citizens Academy.
That's right. Oh, it was so much fun. The Weather Channel are the ones that name the winter storms. The National Weather Service does not. But
Gotcha.
the Weather Channel is the one
Glad to know that.
that
Something
started naming
unofficial.
storms.
So why don't we start naming them?
The last one was Blair. Don't you remember Blair? That was the one that hit before over towards.
I remember something about Blair and some witches. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of when I heard Enzo. I thought of the Muppets. So I don't know.
We need to name some of these storms after, like,
Well, I've got a name for this one.
well
but
diggers,
it's not
shovels,
Enzo.
and witches, broomsticks, and
It's
stuff
not
like that.
Enzo.
Okay.
It's like in soon, but not Enzo.
We will see you in the morning at 7
Yes.
o'clock. Join us. I assume Lee will probably be able to get here again.
If I got here this
Or
morning, I
maybe she'll
should
be stuck
okay.
along the road on her way home and won't be able to go any further and just have to walk in the
Well,
morning.
and if
You
you
better
guys
come
have
get me.
guests, I won't be here.
We don't know.
So thank you for letting me come and argue
don't
Well,
with
it's
you.
been a
Thank you.
pleasure. It's been a
No,
pleasure.
you said yesterday, which I repeated online, by the way.
Right.
She says she's here to be the voice of reason.
Well, I'll
I
tell you what,
am.
when her and Steve start talking back and forth, that's a great conversation.
It is great.
You two do well together.
All I do is throw hand grenades. It's fun.
Yeah, you
Verbal
love doing
grenades.
that, don't you?
Yeah, see what happens.
All right,
Okay,
y'all
y'all.
pray I get home.
Well, just there's a couch over there. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Really do stay warm and slow your butts down. The
Slow
roads, I don't
down.
care. If there are people out there driving, and they're all not going to be driving as nice as you are, and
That's
you better
right.
be driving nicely.
And if you're
'Cause I might have
behind
to go to
me,
the
do
store
not
today. I don't
cuss
know.
me.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm a
know.
slow driver.
I might have to
miss.
go to the store. I don't know why, but it was something last night.
I want some potato
No.
soup.
It crossed my mind, and I don't remember what it was.
You can walk the Food Lion.
No, that's a mile and a quarter.
Mm.
I have to walk back then, or you have to come get me. You're live and local, real talk. We're always awake, never woke. We'll see you in the morning. Be safe.